The question hung in the warm air of the Christmas Café like a fragile ornament about to fall, simple yet heavy enough to silence the clinking cups and murmured conversations around. A poor girl stood beside an empty chair, her hands trembling from cold and courage, wondering if kindness itself had become a luxury reserved only for the rich. If you believe that kindness deserves a second chance in this world, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to Midnight Tales, because stories like this live through people who still believe in humanity. The cafe was glowing in daylight, draped in soft gold and winter white, with Christmas trees shimmering beside tall glass windows where snow drifted lazily outside. Chandeliers reflected on polished tables, and the scent of cinnamon and roasted coffee filled the room. It was the kind of place where laughter sounded quieter, where people dressed neatly and spoke gently, as if afraid to disturb the beauty they had paid to sit inside. At one small table near the window sat a man named Adrian Kessler, the CEO of a global technology firm, though no one in the cafe knew that. He wore a tailored black coat and stared into a cup of untouched coffee, his reflection trembling on its surface. Wealth had given him everything except peace, and on this Christmas morning, he felt more alone than he ever had in his glass-walled penthouse. The girl's name was Mira. She was 16, thin as the winter wind, her coat faded from too many seasons, her shoes damp from walking through slush all morning. She had come into the cafe not for warmth but for courage. Outside, her younger brother waited with a borrowed scarf and an empty stomach, and inside, the promise of warmth and light felt like a world she had been locked out of her whole life. Mira had lost her mother 2 years ago and her father shortly after, swallowed by illness and debt. Since then, every day had been a lesson in survival, and every smile cost effort. She had cleaned tables at a bakery, sorted boxes at dawn markets, and learned early that people rarely looked at her unless they were asking her to leave. As she stood beside the empty chair, Mira felt the weight of stares and the silent judgment of crystal glasses and pressed coats. She had almost turned away, almost chosen hunger over humiliation, but something about the man sitting alone made her pause. He did not look angry or proud like others she had seen in places like this. He looked tired in a way that money could not fix. The question escaped her lips not as defiance but as a whisper of hope, asking whether the seat was only meant for the rich, or whether there was space left in this world for someone like her. The cafe seemed to hold its breath. Adrian slowly looked up, noticing her flushed cheeks, the frayed strap of her bag, and the quiet dignity in her eyes. For the first time in weeks, he truly saw another human being. His life had been built on numbers, negotiations, and boardrooms, but here stood a reminder of something he had buried long ago, the belief that success meant lifting others, not sitting above them. He remembered a Christmas from his own childhood, when his father had lost his job and a stranger had paid for their groceries without saying a word. That memory, small yet powerful, had shaped him more than any degree or deal. Mira waited for rejection, bracing herself for the familiar sting, but instead felt something unexpected: welcome. The empty chair became more than furniture, it became an opening. She sat, her hands still shaking, as warmth wrapped around her like a forgotten promise. A waiter hesitated, then returned with an extra cup without being asked. Outside, the snow kept falling, but inside, time softened. They sat in silence, two lives separated by fortune yet connected by something deeper. Adrian listened as Mira spoke about her brother's dreams of becoming a teacher, about the long walks she took just to keep moving, about how Christmas used to mean her mother's singing and now meant endurance. Her words were not polished, but they were honest, and honesty has a way of breaking walls faster than anger ever could. Adrian felt something shift inside him, a realization that success without compassion was just a lonely throne. As daylight brightened the cafe, something changed not only between them but around them. Other patrons noticed. Some looked away in discomfort, others with curiosity, but a few with softened eyes. Kindness, once visible, has a quiet way of spreading. Adrian did not offer pity, nor did he try to fix everything in a single moment. Instead, he offered presence, respect, and the reminder that Mira mattered. He spoke of opportunities, of education programs his company funded, of doors that could open if someone simply chose to see her potential instead of her poverty. Mira felt a warmth deeper than the coffee she sipped. For the first time in years, she was not invisible. She imagined telling her brother about this moment, about sitting in a Christmas cafe without being asked to leave, about meeting someone who listened without judgment. Hope, she realized, did not arrive loudly, it came quietly, like snow settling on tired streets. As the hour passed, Adrian stood to leave, but not before making a choice that would ripple far beyond the table. He arranged for support not as charity but as opportunity, education assistance, a safe place for Mira and her brother, and a chance for her to work and study without choosing between dignity and survival. For him, it was not generosity, it was a return to who he was meant to be. If this story is touching your heart right now, take a moment to engage with this video. Your likes, comments, and shares help stories of kindness reach people who need them most. Mira stepped back into the daylight, the snow no longer biting but beautiful, carrying more than warmth in her hands. She carried proof that the world could still surprise her. Adrian watched from the window as she disappeared into the crowd, feeling lighter than he had in years. The cafe returned to its gentle noise, but something invisible had changed within its walls. Before this story ends, leave a comment sharing where you're watching from and one small act of kindness you believe can change a life. Because sometimes, the most powerful question is not about who belongs where, but about who we choose to make room for, and the answer can transform two lives in a single Christmas morning.